Welcome to a journey into secrets the world didn't want you to know. From hidden experiments to government deception, these 100 facts will shock, amaze, and make you question everything. Stay tuned and discover the truth behind history's greatest conspiracies. Chapter 1. Did you know that during World War II, the Allies created a fake army, complete with inflatable tanks and fake radio transmissions, to trick Hitler into thinking the D-Day invasion would happen in Calais? This massive deception operation, called Operation Fortitude, showed that war isn't just fought with bullets. Sometimes it's fought with illusions. And yes, illusions can change history. Chapter 2. The CIA once tried to spy using cats. Yes, real cats. They implanted listening devices into a feline's ear to eavesdrop on Soviet embassies. The project, codenamed Acoustic Kitty, failed spectacularly. But it proved one thing: science and espionage can mix in bizarre ways. Imagine a cat walking around with secrets in its tiny body, completely unaware it was history in motion. Chapter 3. Have you heard about the MKUltra project? The CIA experimented with mind control in the 1950s and 60s, testing LSD and other substances on unknowing citizens. The goal was to create programmable humans. Some subjects suffered permanent damage. It's chilling, but it highlights the terrifying intersection of psychology and government power. Sometimes the truth is scarier than fiction. Chapter 4. In 1971, the Pentagon released a plan called Operation Northwoods. It suggested staging fake terrorist attacks in the U.S. to justify a war against Cuba. The plan included hijackings, bombings, and even fake deaths. Luckily, it was rejected, but the document exists, showing how far governments might go in secret. Proof that fact can be stranger than any conspiracy theory. Chapter 5. Did you know that fluoride in drinking water was once a topic of secret debate? Some claimed it was to control populations. Others said it prevented tooth decay. While the truth is simple chemistry and public health, the speculation shows how small scientific actions can spark massive conspiracy theories. Science can be both helpful and suspicious, depending on how people see it. Chapter 6. Project Blue Book investigated UFO sightings from 1952 to 1969. The U.S. Air Force analyzed thousands of reports, some unexplained. People swore they saw flying crafts with impossible movements. The project officially closed, but the questions remain. Science tried to study what couldn't be explained. And sometimes, what seems impossible sparks the imagination of millions of citizens worldwide. Chapter 7. The NSA's PRISM program was exposed in 2013. It collected online communications from millions of people without their knowledge. Emails, calls, messages, all scanned. It raised questions about privacy and the balance between national security and personal freedom. Even in a digital world, reality can be stranger than fiction. Your online life might be more public than you think. Chapter 8. Did you know the tobacco industry lied for decades about the dangers of smoking? Internal documents revealed they knew smoking caused cancer but hid it. This manipulation changed countless lives. Science had the truth all along, but the public was deceived. It's a stark reminder that sometimes corporations exploit human curiosity and ignorance for profit, ignoring morality entirely. Chapter 9. Operation Mockingbird revealed that the CIA influenced media during the Cold War. They funded journalists, manipulated stories, and controlled narratives to shape public perception. Information itself became a battlefield. The project shows that even news isn't always neutral, and the human mind can be nudged in ways science and psychology predict. Truth and perception can collide dramatically. Chapter 10. In 1953, the CIA orchestrated a coup in Iran called Operation Ajax, overthrowing the elected prime minister. They used propaganda, bribery, and street chaos to manipulate public opinion. History books note the consequences, but the operation reminds us, geopolitics often hides secrets behind public faces. Science of persuasion and human behavior isn't just academic, it can change nations overnight. Chapter 11. The Manhattan Project wasn't just a scientific breakthrough, it was shrouded in secrecy. Thousands worked on building the first atomic bomb, unaware of the full scope. The power of splitting atoms changed the world forever. And it proved one thing: when science meets secrecy, the consequences can be unimaginably destructive. History was rewritten in a flash, literally. Chapter 12. Did you know that the U.S. government tested nuclear fallout on its own citizens? From the 1940s to 1960s, radioactive clouds drifted over towns to study exposure effects. People didn't know they were part of experiments. The shocking truth highlights how far science and military ambition can go together. Ethics often lost when curiosity and power collide. Chapter 13. The London smog of 1952 killed thousands, yet secret studies found that governments initially ignored the dangers. Air pollution science was young, but the disaster sparked urgent research. Public health lagged behind politics. Conspiracies around governmental neglect show that sometimes the truth isn't hidden intentionally. It's buried under bureaucracy until science finally speaks up. Chapter 14. During the Cold War, the US and USSR planted listening devices in each other's embassies. Tiny bugs, some no bigger than a coin, captured conversations for intelligence. Science miniaturized surveillance before smartphones existed. The real conspiracy: that everyday objects might be watching you. Espionage isn't fiction. It's applied physics and imagination, often invisible to the naked eye. Chapter 15. In 1977, the CIA attempted to influence pop culture by funding rock bands. Music was seen as a tool to shape youth opinions during the Cold War. Secret funding and psychological research went into lyrics and concerts. It proved culture itself can be engineered. Even art, often considered free expression, can be subtly guided by unseen hands. Chapter 16. Did you know that NASA lost tapes of the original moon landing telemetry? Some claim it's a cover-up, while others explain it as a technical mishap. Science and record-keeping collide in mysterious ways. The missing data sparked debates that persist today. Even when facts are solid, human error can create fertile ground for conspiracy theories. Chapter 17. The Tuskegee syphilis study ran from 1932 to 1972, where African American men were denied treatment to study disease progression. Science was misused, ethics ignored. Decades of suffering were recorded for research. The shocking truth reminds us that knowledge alone isn't enough. Morality must guide science. History teaches that blind experiments can leave scars that last generations. Chapter 18. The Vatican secretly guarded ancient texts for centuries, some suggesting alternative historical events. Scholars were restricted and interpretations controlled. Knowledge can be power, and secrecy can protect or manipulate it. Science and archaeology now reveal fragments, but the aura of hidden truths fuels imagination. Sometimes, conspiracies start simply because information is restricted, not invented. Chapter 19. Did you know that in the 1950s, the U.S. sprayed chemicals over entire cities to test aerosol dispersal? Citizens didn't know they were part of experiments in public health and warfare. Science tested reality in real life, without consent. It's chilling, but also shows how experimental methods can collide with ethics. Facts can sound like fiction, yet they are undeniable. Chapter 20. Operation Paperclip brought Nazi scientists to the U.S. after World War II, hiding their past crimes to leverage expertise. Rocket science, military tech, and space exploration benefited from controversial knowledge. History, ethics, and science tangled together in secret. The conspiracy isn't imaginary, it's documented. Sometimes progress comes with a price hidden in the shadows, reminding us that truth is complicated. Chapter 21. Did you know the U.S. military once considered building a gay bomb in the 1990s? The idea was to use pheromones to make enemy soldiers attracted to each other, causing distraction. Science met absurdity in a lab. It never happened, but the documents exist. Sometimes, truth is stranger than fiction. Proving imagination in warfare can be wildly unexpected. Chapter 22. Project Stargate explored remote viewing, attempting to use psychic powers for espionage. Scientists and soldiers claimed they could see distant locations with their minds. Though results were inconclusive, the program ran for decades. It blends psychology, physics, and government intrigue. Proof that even when science stretches into the unknown, curiosity drives humans to test the impossible. Chapter 23. Did you know the U.S. Navy once recorded a mysterious Navy UFO signal off California's coast? Sonar and radar detected unexplained underwater objects moving too fast for known technology. Scientists debated whether it was natural phenomena or advanced engineering. Some files remain classified. The ocean, like space, holds secrets. Facts and imagination collide in deep waters, fueling endless speculation. Chapter 24. Operation Gladio kept secret armies across Europe during the Cold War, ready to resist a Soviet invasion. Civilians were unaware that paramilitary networks existed in their countries. Science and logistics enabled stealth, weapons, and communication networks. History shows that governments often prepare for hidden threats in ways citizens never see. Conspiracy, or simply preparation gone quiet. Chapter 25. The Roswell incident of 1947 sparked worldwide UFO fascination. A weather balloon crashed, yet rumors of extraterrestrials spread fast. Documents show military cover-ups of sensitive experiments, fueling imagination. Science couldn't fully explain the event at the time. The blend of secrecy and limited knowledge created legends. Sometimes, the unknown is all it takes to start a global conspiracy. Chapter 26. During World War II, the British created a fake corpse with secret documents and dropped it over enemy lines. The documents fooled German intelligence completely. Science, storytelling, and strategy merged in deadly espionage. Operation Mincemeat proved that deception isn't just an art, it's science in action. History can hinge on imagination, planning, and tiny paper secrets. Chapter 27. Did you know the U.S. conducted high-altitude nuclear tests in the 1950s that damaged satellites and communication systems? Scientists studied radiation, magnetism, and atmospheric effects. Citizens were unaware of the scale. Sometimes, experiments meant to understand science had unintended consequences. Reality can shock when humans probe limits too far. Knowledge itself can be dangerous. Chapter 28. The CIA once experimented with psychic assassins, using hypnosis and hallucinogens. The goal was to create killers who could operate without conscious memory. While the project ended, it showed the extremes of behavioral science in espionage. Mind, drugs, and government strategy collided in secret labs. Truth can be disturbing. Proving imagination and science together can blur ethical lines. Chapter 29. Did you know the British Secret Service used pigeons for spying during both world wars? Tiny cameras attached to birds collected aerial images of enemy territory. Science and animal behavior combined in innovative ways. The mission succeeded multiple times, proving that sometimes the simplest creatures can deliver secrets humans cannot. Conspiracies can be feathered, flying silently over battlefields. Chapter 30. Operation Sea Spray sprayed bacteria over San Francisco in 1950 to study potential biological attacks. Thousands were exposed unknowingly, causing illness. Science learned about vulnerability, but ethics suffered. The experiment demonstrates that governments often test theories on real people. Facts remain uncomfortable, but reality sometimes demands we face truths no fiction could imagine. Chapter 31. Did you know the U.S. military developed bat bombs in World War II? They attached tiny incendiary devices to bats, hoping they'd roost in Japanese buildings and ignite fires. Science, biology, and warfare collided in bizarre ways. The plan was eventually canceled, but it proves that sometimes nature itself becomes a weapon. History remembers both genius and absurdity in one experiment. Chapter 32. Project Rainbow aimed to make U.S. ships invisible during World War II using light-bending experiments. Scientists tried using magnetic fields and light refraction, with mixed results. The USS Eldridge experiment became famous for supposed teleportation, rumors, fact, or exaggeration. The science shows imagination and physics together can create legends. Conspiracies often start where science meets mystery. Chapter 33. Did you know the government secretly sprayed zinc cadmium sulfide over U.S. cities in the 1950s? The goal was to test how particles spread in the atmosphere. People unknowingly participated in large-scale experiments. Science studied the invisible, and history recorded suspicion. Conspiracy theories often stem from experiments like this, where public knowledge lags behind secret science. Reality can feel invasive. Chapter 34. The Manhattan Project's Los Alamos lab employed thousands in complete secrecy. Scientists lived, ate, and worked under tight security, sometimes unaware of the full project. The atom bomb changed the world. The secrecy itself became legendary. Science was unstoppable, but the hidden human stories remind us that progress often comes cloaked in shadows. Knowledge can be both powerful and terrifying. Chapter 35. Operation Big Buzz involved releasing thousands of mosquitoes infected with yellow fever over Georgia and Alabama to study biological warfare. People didn't know they were part of an experiment. Science studied vectors, disease, and human risk in ways most never imagined. The experiment reminds us that reality can be stranger than fiction. Even insects can become instruments of government science. Chapter 36. Did you know the CIA monitored American journalists and activists during the Cold War? They created files, tracked movements, and sometimes spread misinformation. Science of surveillance and psychology guided these operations. History shows that freedom of information can be shadowed by unseen forces. Conspiracy isn't always imaginary. Sometimes it's institutional and documented. The truth is hiding in plain sight. Chapter 37. Project Chatter in the late 1940s explored using drugs and hypnosis for mind control. Scientists tested substances like LSD on volunteers and soldiers. Ethics were minimal, curiosity was maximal. The project ended, but it sparked decades of speculation. Science sometimes reaches into dangerous territory. Facts, documented and undeniable, prove that human minds have long been targets of experimentation. Chapter 38. Did you know that during the Cold War, the U.S. considered a television mind control program? Research suggested subliminal messages could influence emotions and behavior. Experiments tried flashing images too fast for conscious awareness. Science of perception met politics and paranoia. While results were limited, it proves that even light and images can become tools of power. Conspiracy meets cognitive science. Chapter 39. The Gulf of Tonkin incident in 1964 led to the escalation of the Vietnam War. Declassified documents later revealed conflicting reports about attacks on U.S. ships. Governments manipulate information during conflicts. Science can't always separate truth from fabrication when politics intervenes. Facts, once hidden, often rewrite history. Reality and deception can blend, teaching us to question what we think we know. Chapter 40. Did you know the British experimented with mustard gas on soldiers during World War I without full consent? Scientists studied chemical warfare effects on the human body. Thousands suffered. Ethics were ignored for knowledge. History reminds us that scientific curiosity can clash with morality. Conspiracies sometimes exist because experiments were real and documented, not imagined. Science can be both fascinating and horrifying. Chapter 41. Did you know the CIA experimented with hallucinogenic drugs in prisons to see if they could break prisoners' minds? Some subjects experienced lasting psychological effects. Science and government curiosity collided dangerously. The project showed how fragile human perception can be when exposed to extreme conditions. Sometimes, real conspiracies are the experiments themselves, leaving evidence that shocks decades later. Chapter 42. Operation Catapult in 1940 involved taking control of French ships to prevent Nazi capture. Secrecy and deception were key. Sailors and governments alike were kept in the dark. Science and strategy met in naval engineering and logistics. The operation showed that sometimes truth is hidden to save lives or to manipulate history. Conspiracies can hide behind acts of necessity. Chapter 43. Did you know the U.S. Army once tested chemical agents like sarin and VX on soldiers? Volunteers were exposed to study effects, often without full disclosure. Science aimed for knowledge, but human risk was real. Documents prove that military experiments pushed ethical boundaries. Sometimes, conspiracies aren't imaginary. They're officially recorded, with evidence hidden in dusty archives. Chapter 44. Project Mercury astronauts were subjected to psychological tests before every flight, some kept secret from the public. NASA studied human limits under extreme conditions. Science met human curiosity, stress, and fear. These tests ensured survival, yet secrecy fueled speculation. Conspiracies often grow where the public can't see the full picture. Facts, once revealed, often outshine imagination. Chapter 45. During the Cold War, the U.S. placed listening devices in Soviet hotel rooms to capture secrets. Microphones were hidden in walls, phones, even furniture. Science of miniaturization made espionage invisible. Intelligence depended on observation, physics, and patience. Sometimes, conspiracies aren't fantasies. They're engineering achievements designed to spy. History is filled with tiny devices that changed outcomes. Chapter 46. Did you know that the government experimented with LSD on military personnel to test combat readiness and mental resilience? Some subjects suffered severe effects, while others adapted. Science explored neurochemistry under extreme stress. Ethics were often secondary. The experiments remained shocking, proving curiosity and control can push human limits. Conspiracies often start where science overreaches. Chapter 47. The infamous Philadelphia experiment allegedly tried to make a U.S. Navy ship invisible using electromagnetic fields in 1943. Though largely considered myth, declassified documents show that high-voltage experiments on ships did occur. Science and legend intertwined. Sometimes, the line between truth and myth is blurred by secret experiments. Conspiracies grow where curiosity meets uncertainty. Chapter 48. Did you know the U.S. government tracked UFO sightings with high-tech radars during the 1950s? Reports of unknown flying objects baffled scientists and military personnel alike. Many files remain classified. Science sought explanations, but mystery remained. When facts and the unexplained collide, imagination fills the gaps. Conspiracies often flourish where questions outweigh answers. Chapter 49. Operation Hardtack in 1958 tested nuclear explosions in the Pacific Ocean. Scientists studied blast effects, radiation, and environmental consequences. Islanders and sailors often weren't fully informed. Science expanded knowledge, but ethics suffered. Facts prove that even controlled experiments can impact lives unknowingly. Conspiracies often stem from secrecy, not invention, leaving reality stranger than fiction. Chapter 50. During World War II, the British planted fake documents on dead soldiers to mislead German intelligence. This deception helped save thousands of lives and altered military strategy. Science of forensics and planning worked with imagination. Conspiracies can be real when deception is strategic. Sometimes, the most clever secrets aren't lies. They're life-saving truths hidden in plain sight. Chapter 51. Did you know the CIA once tested mind control through sensory deprivation tanks? Volunteers were locked in darkness for hours, experiencing hallucinations and disorientation. Science explored the edges of perception, while ethics lagged behind. Experiments like this show how far curiosity can push the human mind. Conspiracies are often real when psychological research meets governmental ambition. Chapter 52. Operation Paperclip brought Nazi rocket scientists to America after World War II. Wernher von Braun helped launch the first U.S. satellites, but his past was hidden. Science advanced rapidly, yet history shows ethical compromises. Sometimes, progress comes cloaked in secrecy, blending genius with moral ambiguity. Facts can be stranger than fiction when governments rewrite the rules. Chapter 53. Did you know the U.S. sprayed bacteria over Panama to study disease spread? Cities were unaware, and citizens unknowingly participated in experiments. Science studied epidemiology and environmental impact, but human rights were ignored. History records the facts, and conspiracy theories often arise from documented experiments. Reality proves that testing the unknown can have unintended consequences. Chapter 54. Project 1794 planned supersonic flying saucers during the Cold War. The U.S. Air Force explored radical aircraft designs that could outpace conventional planes. Science, engineering, and imagination collided. While the project never fully succeeded, the files remain. Conspiracies sometimes originate from legitimate experiments that are too futuristic for public understanding. Innovation can feel like mystery. Chapter 55. Did you know the U.S. military studied psychic phenomena to predict enemy behavior? Soldiers attempted remote viewing, claiming they could see secret locations. Science met the supernatural in government labs. Experiments were inconclusive but sparked decades of fascination. Conspiracies can stem from official programs that stretch human understanding. Sometimes truth is stranger than fiction, but still documented. Chapter 56. During the 1960s, the U.S. Navy experimented with underwater sound waves as a weapon. Scientists tested whether sonar could disrupt enemy submarines or human operations. Technology and biology intersected in secret labs. Citizens were unaware of the scale. Conspiracies often grow when scientific curiosity and military strategy collide. The ocean became a hidden battlefield where sound alone was a weapon. Chapter 57. Did you know the CIA once funded cultural events to influence public opinion abroad? Films, music, and art were subtly guided to shape perceptions. Science of psychology and sociology met propaganda. Culture became a battlefield. Facts prove that governments have long experimented with controlling narratives. Conspiracies often originate where education and entertainment intersect, manipulating emotions through subtle influence. Chapter 58. Operation Argus in 1958 tested nuclear explosions in the Earth's upper atmosphere. Scientists studied electromagnetic pulses and radiation effects. Most citizens didn't know these experiments occurred. Science explored boundaries, but secrecy fueled speculation. Conspiracies often thrive where information is restricted. Even today, the reality of high-altitude nukes sounds like fiction, proving that documented experiments can astonish imagination. Chapter 59. Did you know the CIA once explored the use of dolphins in espionage? Dolphins were trained to detect mines and even carry devices. Science, biology, and military ambition collided in ocean laboratories. The experiments were real, though largely hidden from the public. Conspiracies often come from clever applications of science. Sometimes, the most surprising truths involve the creatures we think we understand. Chapter 60. During World War II, the Germans tested V-2 rockets in secret locations across Europe. The technology was far ahead of its time, frightening both civilians and scientists. Science pushed physics to extremes, and secrecy ensured fear and control. Conspiracies can arise from advanced projects that ordinary people cannot see. History remembers both innovation and terror when technology meets ambition. Chapter 61. Did you know the CIA conducted Operation Midnight Climax, where they lured people to safe houses and secretly dosed them with LSD? Observers watched from behind one-way mirrors to study behavior. Science met ethics in disturbing ways. Documents prove it happened. Conspiracies often exist where government research intersects with human vulnerability. Reality can be stranger than fiction, and this experiment proves it. Chapter 62. During the Cold War, the Soviets allegedly built secret submarines designed to fire nuclear missiles from the Arctic. Science, engineering, and secrecy combined. Many files remain classified. Technology and strategy created mysteries that fueled rumors. Conspiracies often grow from real, documented experiments that the public cannot access. Innovation in secret labs can create fear and fascination simultaneously. Chapter 63. Did you know the U.S. Air Force investigated UFOs under Project Blue Book for nearly 2 decades? Thousands of sightings were logged, many unexplained. Science tried to classify anomalies, while the public speculated wildly. Facts and mystery collided. Conspiracies often arise where scientific understanding cannot fully explain events. The unknown becomes fertile ground for imagination and suspicion. Chapter 64. Operation Plowshare explored using nuclear explosions for peaceful purposes, like building canals. Scientists tested whether atomic bombs could excavate Earth efficiently. Ethics and safety were secondary. Experiments created radiation and environmental hazards. The project reminds us that human ambition can sometimes overlook consequences. Conspiracies often grow when public knowledge lags behind secret experimentation, showing science can be both creative and dangerous. Chapter 65. Did you know the FBI infiltrated political groups in the 1960s to monitor civil rights activists? Agents secretly recorded meetings and spread disinformation. Science of psychology and influence guided operations. Facts prove that surveillance targeted ordinary citizens. Conspiracies often exist when government power mixes with control of information. Reality can be uncomfortable when documented programs contradict public narratives. Chapter 66. The U.S. military once tested Project 112, exposing troops to biological and chemical agents to study effects. Soldiers were often unaware of the experiments. Science advanced knowledge of pathogens, but ethics suffered. Facts from declassified documents confirm the experiments. Conspiracies grow where secrecy, science, and human risk intersect. Reality can be far more shocking than any fictional story. Chapter 67. Did you know Nazi scientists experimented on high-altitude survival using low-pressure chambers? Subjects endured extreme hypoxia to understand limits of the human body. Science was brutal but informative. The experiments proved that curiosity without ethics can be deadly. Conspiracies often come from documented research that shocks modern audiences. History contains lessons about science's power and danger. Chapter 68. Operation Crossroads in 1946 tested nuclear bombs at Bikini Atoll. Scientists studied blast effects on ships, structures, and the environment. Islanders were relocated, often unaware of the risks. Science explored atomic power, but consequences were immense. Conspiracies arise where experiments are conducted in secret. Documented truth can astonish, showing that reality often exceeds imagination. Chapter 69. Did you know the U.S. Navy experimented with chemical clouds to study dispersal patterns over cities? Zinc-cadmium sulfide was used without public knowledge. Science sought knowledge. Ethics were overlooked. Documents confirm it. Conspiracies often originate where citizens unknowingly participate in research. Facts prove that history sometimes records experiments stranger than fiction. Observation itself becomes a tool of power. Chapter 70. During the Cold War, both superpowers explored microwave and radio frequency weapons to disable electronics and human targets. Science, technology, and secrecy combined. Experiments tested limits of physics and human tolerance. Most citizens never knew. Conspiracies often grow from real experiments with long-lasting consequences. History proves that innovation, fear, and secrecy can collide to create enduring mysteries. Chapter 71. Did you know the U.S. experimented with poison darts delivered by plants and animals during the Cold War? Tiny devices disguised as harmless objects carried deadly substances. Science, biology, and espionage collided in hidden labs. Documents prove these projects existed. Conspiracies often come from government research that feels like fiction. Reality can be stranger than stories when science is weaponized. Chapter 72. Operation Mockingbird saw the CIA secretly fund journalists and media outlets during the Cold War. News stories were subtly influenced to shape public opinion. Science of psychology and communication guided the strategy. Facts prove manipulation occurred, not imagined. Conspiracies often grow where information is controlled. Reality sometimes hides in plain sight, disguised as ordinary news. Chapter 73. Did you know the U.S. tested chemical clouds over San Francisco in 1950? Thousands were exposed to bacteria without consent to study spread patterns. Science gathered data, but ethics were ignored. Documents confirm this experiment. Conspiracies originate when experiments remain secret, leaving citizens unaware. History records that sometimes the public unknowingly participates in government trials. Chapter 74. During World War II, the Allies created fake tanks, planes, and entire armies to trick enemy intelligence. Operation Fortitude used decoys and fake radio signals to mislead Hitler about D-Day. Science, strategy, and psychology combined. The deception succeeded. Conspiracies often stem from real operations hidden in plain sight. Facts reveal that illusion can be as powerful as reality. Chapter 75. Did you know the CIA investigated the use of hypnosis for interrogation in the 1950s and 60s? Volunteers and prisoners were tested for susceptibility. Science explored consciousness, memory, and compliance, often crossing ethical lines. Documents show experiments happened. Conspiracies exist when secret programs manipulate human behavior. Reality sometimes shocks more than fiction, proving curiosity can be dangerous when paired with authority. Chapter 76. Project Chatter tested hallucinogens on military personnel to study mind control potential. LSD and other drugs created extreme psychological responses. Science and military curiosity collided. Many suffered lasting effects. The documents prove it was real. Conspiracies grow where secrecy and human experimentation meet. Facts show reality can be terrifying, yet fascinating, far beyond any story you've heard. Chapter 77. Did you know the U.S. secretly used dolphins and sea lions to detect underwater mines? Animals were trained for military espionage. Science of marine biology and intelligence combined in ways civilians never imagined. Files confirm the experiments. Conspiracies often originate where governments exploit nature. Sometimes, truth feels stranger than fiction when animals become tools of war. Chapter 78. During the Cold War, the U.S. studied mind control through sensory deprivation and isolation tanks. Volunteers experienced hallucinations and extreme stress. Science tested human cognition under extreme conditions. Ethics were minimal. Documents confirm this research existed. Conspiracies arise where governments experiment on perception. Reality proves that curiosity, secrecy, and psychology can create experiments that shock the world. Chapter 79. Did you know the U.S. tested biological weapons on unknowing populations to study disease spread? Cities were exposed to harmless or weakened agents for research purposes. Science advanced understanding of pathogens, but citizens didn't consent. Documents exist. Conspiracies often grow from documented experiments. Reality proves that history records experiments far stranger than fiction could imagine. Chapter 80. Operation Paperclip secretly brought Nazi scientists to America to advance rocketry and aerospace. Wernher von Braun's work enabled the space program, but his past was hidden. Science and morality collided in secret. Facts prove it happened. Conspiracies often exist where government priorities override ethics. Reality can shock when genius and secrecy intertwine, creating advances with hidden costs. Chapter 81. Did you know the U.S. conducted high-altitude nuclear tests that disrupted satellites and communication systems in the 1950s? Scientists studied radiation and electromagnetic effects on the atmosphere. Citizens were mostly unaware. Facts prove experiments happened. Conspiracies often grow where government actions are secret and technical. Reality shows that science, when combined with military ambition, can have unintended global consequences. Chapter 82. During World War II, the Germans built the V3 cannon, capable of firing shells over 100 miles. The project was top secret, designed to terrorize London. Science, engineering, and strategy collided. Conspiracies often start with real weapons hidden from public view. Facts prove that humans can invent technology far beyond imagination, sometimes in secret. History is full of hidden innovations. Chapter 83. Did you know the CIA monitored jazz musicians and artists during the Cold War to influence culture? Music, art, and literature were subtly guided to shape opinions. Science of psychology and social influence met creativity. Documents confirm this. Conspiracies often originate where governments manipulate culture. Reality can be stranger than fiction when creative expression is used as a tool of control. Chapter 84. Project Sea Spray exposed San Francisco to bacteria to study aerosol dispersal in 1950. Thousands were unaware. Science gathered critical data, but ethics were ignored. Documents confirm the experiment. Conspiracies often start when public participation is hidden. Reality proves that real-life experiments can shock more than fiction, showing how government testing sometimes risks civilians without consent. Chapter 85. Did you know the U.S. considered using cats as espionage devices? Acoustic Kitty was implanted with microphones to spy on Soviet targets. Science and biology met absurdity. The project failed, but documents exist. Conspiracies often originate from actual government attempts to push boundaries. Reality shows that even the strangest ideas were once seriously explored by powerful institutions. Chapter 86. During the Cold War, secret armies called Operation Gladio existed across Europe, ready to resist Soviet invasion. Civilians didn't know, yet logistics, communication, and weapons were in place. Science of strategy and organization met secrecy. Conspiracies often stem from real, documented military operations. Facts prove preparation can be hidden in plain sight. Sometimes, history hides in shadowed corners. Chapter 87. Did you know the Manhattan Project required total secrecy even among scientists? Thousands built the atomic bomb, often unaware of the full scope. Science and security collided. Facts prove it existed. Conspiracies often grow when public knowledge is limited. Reality shows that massive projects can operate in the shadows, changing the world before anyone realizes what's happening. Chapter 88. Operation Northwood suggested staging terrorist attacks in the U.S. to justify war against Cuba. Plans included hijackings and bombings. Science of strategy and psychology was applied. The plan was rejected, but the documents exist. Conspiracies sometimes are real government proposals. Reality proves that power can explore terrifying ideas in secret, and history preserves the proof. Chapter 89. Did you know the Tuskegee syphilis study withheld treatment from African American men for decades to study disease progression? Science was conducted without ethics, leaving lasting scars. Documents confirm this. Conspiracies often start from documented injustice. Reality shows that experimentation without morality can shock generations. History reminds us that truth is sometimes more disturbing than fiction. Chapter 90. During World War II, Operation Mincemeat used a fake corpse carrying false documents to mislead German intelligence. The deception succeeded brilliantly. Science of forensics and strategy combined with storytelling. Conspiracies can be real when secrecy is strategic. Facts prove that even lies, carefully planned, can change the course of history, making deception one of humanity's most powerful tools. Chapter 91. Did you know the British created fake radio transmissions to make Hitler believe Allied invasions were coming in Calais instead of Normandy? Operation Fortitude used decoys, misinformation, and psychology. Science and strategy combine to save lives. Conspiracies can exist where deception is clever and documented. Reality proves that imagination, when applied strategically, can alter history more than brute force alone. Chapter 92. During the Cold War, the U.S. tested microwave and radio frequency weapons to disable electronics and harm human targets. Scientists studied effects. Secrecy was total. Documents confirm experiments occurred. Conspiracies often grow where technology is advanced and hidden. Reality shows that innovation, fear, and secrecy can collide to create projects that sound unbelievable but are fully documented. Chapter 93. Did you know the CIA explored remote viewing to spy on enemies without physical presence? Soldiers claimed to see secret locations with their minds. Science, psychology, and secrecy intersected. Projects ran for decades. Facts confirm real experiments. Conspiracies originate where science stretches beyond conventional understanding. Reality proves that even psychic programs were taken seriously by governments. Chapter 94. Operation Argus involved high-altitude nuclear detonations in 1958 to study radiation in space. Scientists tested electromagnetic and cosmic effects. Most citizens were unaware. Facts prove it happened. Conspiracies often thrive where experiments remain secret. Reality demonstrates that nuclear science can reach astonishing, dangerous extremes, leaving the public in the dark about risks and consequences. Chapter 95. Did you know the U.S. Navy tested sonar and sound waves as weapons to disrupt submarines and human activity? Science, technology, and strategy met the ocean. Citizens were unaware of experiments' scale. Facts exist. Conspiracies originate where curiosity and secrecy combine. Reality shows that even sound itself can become a weapon when science is applied in secret. Chapter 96. The CIA experimented with subliminal messaging on television to influence emotions and behavior. Flashing images too fast for awareness were tested. Science of perception, psychology, and government strategy collided. Results were inconclusive, but documents confirm research. Conspiracies often grow where technology interacts with human cognition. Reality proves that even images and light can become subtle tools of control. Chapter 97. Did you know the British tested mustard gas on soldiers without full consent during World War I? Science studied chemical warfare effects on the human body. Ethics were ignored. Thousands suffered. Documents exist. Conspiracies grow where experiments are conducted secretly. Reality shows that documented science can shock the world when morality is overlooked. Knowledge can hurt as much as it helps. Chapter 98. Operation Big Buzz involved releasing infected mosquitoes over Georgia and Alabama to study disease spread. Citizens were unaware of exposure. Science advanced knowledge of vectors and infection. Ethics were ignored. Facts prove it happened. Conspiracies grow when secret experiments involve human populations. Reality demonstrates that even small insects can be part of experiments with major consequences. Chapter 99. Did you know the U.S. Air Force explored supersonic flying saucers during the Cold War? Radical aircraft designs aim to outpace enemy planes. Science, engineering, and imagination combined. Projects never fully succeeded but are documented. Conspiracies often originate where innovation is too advanced for public understanding. Reality shows that some truth seems fictional until revealed in archives. Chapter 100. During World War II, Operation Catapult seized French ships to prevent Nazi capture. Civilians were unaware, yet logistics, strategy, and secrecy were essential. Science of planning and execution combined with military necessity. Facts prove it happened. Conspiracies often exist in hidden operations that shape history. Reality shows that sometimes the most powerful secrets are entirely documented, yet remain invisible to the public. Those were 100 conspiracies that actually happened. History is full of secrets waiting to be uncovered. If you found this shocking and fascinating, like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the hidden truths of our world.